Hi, it's Sue. Thanks for joining me for today's Bible reading. I'm reading April 18th, 1 Kings 15 through 17. Verse 1. Now the 18th year of King Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, Abijam began to reign over Judah. He reigned 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom. He walked in all the sins of his father, which he had done before him, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his God, as the heart of David his father. Nevertheless, for David's sake, Yahweh his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem to set up his son after him to establish Jerusalem, because David did that which was right in Yahweh's eyes and didn't turn aside from anything that he commanded him in all the days of his life, except only a matter of Uriah the Hittite. Now there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all the days of his life. This is interesting because yesterday I pointed out that the influence that a leader's actions can have on the people in the country. And it just sounds so obvious, but you have to stop and think about that principle. Even their private life strongly affected the course of the country. And so you have, it talked yesterday about Jeroboam's sins and how it corrupted the country. But also all throughout here, you have woven how David's righteous influence and how he established righteous justice is still affecting the people generations later in a positive way. And God is preserving that line to bring the Messiah later on through David. So because of David, he's kept someone on the throne. Let's see, where did I leave off here? So it says, nevertheless, verse 4, for David's sake, Yahweh his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem to set up his son after him and to establish Jerusalem, because David did that which was right in Yahweh's eyes and didn't turn aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, except only the matter of Uriah the Hittite, which, if you know that story, was huge, horrible thing that he did in taking Uriah's wife and then having Uriah murdered. Now there was a war between Rehoboam, actually he was killed in war, but verse 6. Now there was a war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all the days of his life. The rest of the acts of Abijam and all that he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? There was war between Abijam and Jeroboam. Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in David's city, and Asa, his son, reigned in his place. In the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Asa began to reign over Judah. He reigned 41 years in Jerusalem. His mother name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom. Asa did that which was right in Yahweh's eyes, as his father did. He put away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his father had made. He also removed Maacah, his mother, from being queen, because she made an abominable image for the Asherah. Asa cut down her image and burned it in the brook Kidron. But the high places were not taken away. Nevertheless, the heart of Asa was perfect with Yahweh all his days. He brought up into Yahweh's house the things that his father had dedicated and the things that he himself had dedicated, silver, gold, and utensils. There was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, all their days. Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and built Ramah, that he might not allow anyone to go out or come in to Asa, king of Judah. Then Asa took all the silver and the gold that was left in the treasures of Yahweh's house, and the treasures of the king's house, and treasures of and delivered it into the hand of his servants. Then King Asa sent them to Ben-Hadad, the son of Tabrimon, the son of Hezion, king of Syria, who lived at Damascus, saying, there is a treaty between me and you, between my father and your father. Behold, I have sent to you a present of silver and gold. Go, break your treaty with Baasha, king of Israel, that he may depart from me. Ben-Hadad listened to King Asa and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Israel and struck Ijon and Dan and Abel-Beth-Maachah and all of Chinneroth with all the land of Naphtali. When Baasha heard of it, he stopped building Ramah and lived in Tirzah. Then King Asa made a proclamation to all Judah. No one was exempted. They carried away the stones of Ramah and its timber with which Baasha had built, and King Asa used it to build Geba of Benjamin and Mitzvah. Now the rest of the acts of Asa and all his might and all that he did and the cities which he built, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? But in the time of his old age, when he was diseased in his feet, Asa slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in his father's David's city. And Jehoshaphat his son reigned in his place. Nadab the son of Jeroboam began to reign over Israel in the 2nd year of Asa king of Judah, and he reigned over Israel 2 years. Okay, so you're seeing here that you have the second year of Asa down in Judah, the son of Jeroboam began to reign up in Israel. That's what that just said. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, and walked in the way of his father, and in the sin with which he made Israel to sin. Baasha, the son of Ahijah of the house of Issachar, conspired against him, and Baasha struck him at Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines, for Nadab and all Israel were besieging Gibbethon. Even in the third year of Asa king of Judah, Baasha killed him and reigned in his place. As soon as he was king, he struck all the house of Jeroboam. He didn't leave to Jeroboam any who breathed until he had destroyed him, according to the saying of Yahweh, which he spoke by his servant Ahijah the Shilonite, for the sins of Jeroboam which he sinned and with which he made Israel to sin, because of his provocation with which he provoked Yahweh, the God of Israel, to anger. Now the rest of the acts of Nadab and all that he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? There was war between Asa and Baasha king of Israel all their days. In the third year of Asa king of Judah, Baasha the son of Ahijah began to reign over all Israel in Tirzah for 24 years. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, and walked in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin with which he made Israel to sin. Chapter 16. Yahweh's word came to Jehu the son of Hanani, or Hanani, I guess, against Baasha, saying, because I exalted you out of the dust and made you prince over my people Israel, and you have walked in the way of Jeroboam, and have made my people Israel to sin, to provoke me to anger with their sins, behold, I will utterly sweep away Baasha and his house, and I will make your house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. The dogs will eat Baasha's descendants who die in the city, and he who dies in the field the birds of the air will eat. The birds of the sky. Now the rest of the acts of Baasha and what he did in his might, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Baasha slept with his fathers and was buried in Tirzah, and Elah his son reigned in his place. Moreover, Yahweh's word came by the prophet Jehu the son of Hanani against Baasha and against his house, both because of all the evil that he did in Yahweh's sight to provoke him to anger with the work of his hands, in being like the house of Jeroboam, and because he struck him. In the 26th year, Asa king of Judah, Elah the son of Baasha began to reign over Israel in Tirzah for 2 years. Okay, I caught that little part where it called Jehu a prophet. I have known of Jehu, of course, after all these years of reading, but I didn't realize he was a prophet. Okay, so it said, Elah the son of Baasha began to reign over Israel in Tirzah for 2 years. His servant Zimri, captain of half of his chariots, conspired against him. Now he was in Tirzah, drinking himself drunk in the house of Arzah, who was over the household of Tirzah, and Zimri went in and struck him and killed him in the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah. Okay, so Asa's been ruling down in Judah 27 years. This guy had been up in Israel 2 years, and he was killed. And then it says, when he began to reign, as soon as he sat on his throne, he attacked all the house of Baasha. He didn't leave him a single one who urinates on a wall among his relatives or his friends. Thus Zimri destroyed all the house of Baasha according to Yahweh's word, which he spoke against Baasha by Jehu the prophet. For all the sins of Baasha and the sins of Elah his son, which they sinned, with which they made Israel to sin, to provoke Yahweh the God of Israel to anger with their vanities. Now the rest of the acts of Elah and all that he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So again, it referred to prophet Jehu, and I think that just as you read, and especially when I used to just read to myself, I probably skimmed over a lot, didn't take note. Like in recent years, I like to see who all the prophets were in the Bible, because there are a lot of them, and so I'm more attuned to that word when it refers to someone as a prophet. So prior to that, I just sort of knew of some of the things that Jehu had done, like the story we're coming into with Jezebel when we get to that part, but I never thought of him as a prophet. So it says, in the 27th year of Asa king of Judah, Zimri reigned 7 days in Tirzah. Now the people were encamped against Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines. The people who were encamped heard that Zimri had conspired and also killed the king. Therefore all Israel made Omri, the captain of the army, king over Israel that day in the camp. Omri went up from Gibbethon, and all Israel with him, and they besieged Tirzah. When Zimri saw that the city was taken, he went into the fortified part of the king's house and burned the king's house over him with fire and died. For the sins which he sinned in doing that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, in walking in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin which he did to make Israel sin. Now the rest of the acts of Zimri and his treason that he committed, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Then the people of Israel were divided into two parts. Half the people followed Tibni the son of Ginath to make him king, and half followed Omri. But the people who followed Omri prevailed against the people who followed Tibni the son of Ginath. So Tibni died and Omri reigned. In the 31st year of Asa king of Judah, so he's still down there ruling, and wow, how cold-hearted they were for so many centuries. Kill the king, kill everyone related to him, everyone that agrees with him. Just so cold. Anyway, meanwhile, it says, in the 31st year of Asa king of Judah, Omri began to reign over Israel for 12 years. He reigned 6 years in Tirzah. He bought the hill Samaria of Shemer for 2 talents of silver, and built on the hill, and called the name of the city which he built Samaria, after the name of Shemer, the owner of the hill. Omri did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, and dealt wickedly above all who were before him. For he walked in all the way of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and his sins with which he made Israel to sin, to provoke Yahweh, the God of Israel. Oh, I love how it keeps reiterating that Jeroboam made Israel to sin. Like, that's very important to God. It's not forgetting it. Kind of like when somebody did something wrong to you and you keep reminding them. Now, the rest of the acts of Omri, which he did, and his might that he showed, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Omri slept with his fathers and was buried in Samaria, and Ahab his son reigned in his place. In the 38th year of Asa king of Judah, Ahab the son of Omri began to reign over Israel. Ahab the son of Omri reigned over Israel in Samaria 22 years. Ahab the son of Omri did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight above all that was before him, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. He took as wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. He raised up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. Ahab made the Asherah, and Ahab did more yet to provoke Yahweh, the God of Israel, to anger than all the kings of Israel who were before him. In his days, Hiel the Bethelite built Jericho. He laid its foundations with the loss of Abiram his firstborn, and set up its gates with the loss of his youngest Segub, according to Yahweh's words which he spoke to Joshua son of Nun. Yeah, that was a prophecy that came a long time ago through Joshua. And there it is, because like we said the other day, not one of God's precious promises ever fail. Not one ever fails. Chapter 17, last chapter, and it's short one column approximately. Elijah the Tishbite, who was one of the settlers of Gilead, said to Ahab, as Yahweh, the God of Israel, lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. Then Yahweh's word came to him, saying, Go away from here, turn eastward, and hide yourself by the brook Cherith, that is before the Jordan. You shall drink from the brook. I have commanded the ravens to feed you there. So he went and did according to Yahweh's word, for he went and lived by the brook Cherith, that is before the Jordan. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. After a while the brook dried up, because there was no rain in the land. Yahweh's word came to him, saying, Arise, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and stay there. Behold, I have commanded a widow there to sustain you. So he arose and went to Zarephath, and when he came to the gate of the city, behold, a widow was there gathering sticks. He called to her and said, Please get me a little water in a jar, that I may drink. As she was going to get it, he called to her and said, Please bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. She said, As Yahweh your God lives, I don't have a cake, but a handful of meal in a jar, and a little oil in a jar. Behold, I am gathering 2 sticks, that I may go and bake it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. Elijah said to her, Don't be afraid. Go and do as you have said, but make me a little cake from it first, and bring it out to me, and afterward make some for you and your son. For Yahweh the God of Israel says, The jar of meal will not run out, and the jar of oil will not fail, until the day that Yahweh sends rain on the earth. Praise God. I love this story. She went and did according to the saying of Elijah, and she and he in her house ate for many days. The jar of meal didn't run out, and the jar of oil did not fail, according to Yahweh's word, which he spoke by Elijah. Again, because not one of God's precious promises will ever fail, right? Not one ever. That's amazing. Amazing story. Backing up, verse 16, the jar of meal didn't run out, the jar of oil did not fail, according to Yahweh's word, which he spoke by Elijah. After these things, the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, became sick, and his sickness was so severe there was no breath left in him. She said to Elijah, what have I to do with you, the man of God? You have come to me to bring my sin to memory and to kill my son. He said to her, give me your son. He took him out of her bosom and carried him up into the room where he stayed. And he laid him on his bed, on his own bed. He cried to Yahweh and said, Yahweh, my God, have you also brought evil on the widow with whom I am staying by killing her son? He stretched himself on the child 3 times and cried to Yahweh and said, Yahweh, my God, please let this child's soul come into him again. Yahweh listened to the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. Elijah took the child and brought him down out of the room into the house and delivered him to his mother. And Elijah said, behold, your son lives. The woman said to Elijah, now I know that you are a man of God, and that Yahweh's word, is in your mouth. Wait, let me read that last sentence again. Now I know that you are a man of God, and that Yahweh's word in your mouth is truth. That's an amazing story. I love that one. Feel free to comment your thoughts or any, article links that you might think are interested that are related. There are links in the description and also an email if you'd like to get your free 1-year Bible. And I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.